Hey, what's going on everybody, and welcome to a tips and tricks video on the Zeah rune crafting method in the library. Now I'm doing a tips and tricks instead of a guide because there are other guides. Evonaabi is one person who discovered this method, and then Woox is the person who really popularized it and made this plugin for RuneLite. So I'm very thankful for the work that they did that makes this a whole lot easier. I also want to give a big shout out to Hey Guardy and UIM Shabby, or also known as Stu. They really pioneered this for Ultimate Iron Men and have really helped me out. First things first, I do want to get to the numbers of this method. The method really, when you talk about like numbers, it scales with XP. Or it scales with level, and so the only important number is how many books you can get per hour. So I'll give that number. I saw that if you have one agility and no graceful, therefore, and no stamina potions, therefore, then you can get, it's hard to focus and talk at the same time, you can get about 100 to 110 books per hour reasonably. It's possible to get more, but you're not going to get a whole lot more. And then if you have 99 agility and graceful, or higher agility and graceful, you can get about 120 books per hour, maybe to 125, 130. With stamina potions, you can get to 150 to 160 books per hour. I did a 6-hour record that you'll see in the progress episode whenever I get around to editing those. And in that progress, or in that 6 hour, I average 148.8 books per hour for over 6 hours. So long term, you can expect 150 books per hour, but you can definitely get hours with 160 books at a time. But I do want to get into the tips and tricks for this method. Essentially what it is you have people asking you for books, and then you have to go get the books. Whether or not, or if you have it, you just give it to them, and if you don't have it, you have to go in and get the book. The first trick is a really easy trick. Right-click help, and then right-click them again. If you talk to them, then you get to skip the dialogue. Else, you just have to right-click and then hold spacebar, and then it does it. So you save about 1 tick per, and when you're handing in, 100 books per hour, 1 tick per is already saving a minute per hour, which doesn't seem like a whole lot, but if you're going to be here a while, it's certainly quite helpful. The second tips and trick is just how I do the method. As I run along, I see that I need a book in this area, so I come, but I make a mental note. I knew that I had this one, and then the only other one in the southwest I'll show you is this one right here, Richter's Diary. And so I think of all the ones in this immediate area, I make sure that I have them all, and then I go back. You gotta view each book as certain XP. For me, at this level, each book is worth 296 XP. So how far out of your way are you willing to go for 296 XP? Well, probably quite a lot. When the method really gets killed when you get asked for a book twice in a row like this, and you can't get any other books on the way. I can't get these two because I already have these two. Can't get any of the other ones on this floor or the one on the floor above. So this is where the method gets killed, when you have to run and you can't grab any other books on the way. But what you want to do instead is hope for using up all the books in your inventory, and then you get to go along the way. Now, if you're going to get one book, I think it's actually a lot better if you have very few books in your inventory and you're going to get one book. I think it's a whole lot better to grab every book along the way possible. Like, see, it's northwest middle. I think I'm going to go a really long way that helps me get every single book along the way. So I'm going to go up the northwest, and I'm probably going to come down the northeast. It does a few things. It allows you to get every book possible, so kind of restock your books. And again, each book is worth a certain amount of XP, and so that's helpful. So not only does it help you get every single book, but it also, you can work it out, so it gives you a chance to talk to this lady up here, Biblia, which actually brings us to our next trick for the tips and tricks, which would be to do dark manuscripts. As you do dark manuscripts, it really helps your XP per hour. All you got to do is you got to come to her and then ask her, and she'll tell you where it is. Bottom floor, northwestern bay. Now I actually put top Northwestern down here, which is why I messed up. If I had put bottom Northwestern, then I could have grabbed that and then asked her again. But I didn't, so next time I go near the bottom Northwestern Bay, I will get that, and then I can come up and ask her again. And that way, you're not checking every single spot for it. You are getting it when it's easy for you to get it. Checking every single spot really does slow down your XP per hour. One other important thing that really helps me to remember what books I have and what books I don't have is how I order my inventory. I'll put a picture on the screen right now of how I order my inventory, and you see, based on this, if there's one missing, I know which book it is because I always have my inventory set up like this. And I have it set up like this because of how it looks. You see, you have the 4 on the top that look normal, and then you have these 2 beige ones, and then when I put these beige ones, I put the Burns before the Tristera so that it's in alphabetical order, and then I have these 2 books that looks like they're smaller books, and then I have the 4 crumpled books, and then I have the 3 little scrolls, which I again do in alphabetical order. I do the Hosidius, and then the Killing of a King, and then the Rada's Journey. So that actually helps me remember which books I have just by looking and seeing what absences there are. And that way when I'm running, I can easily tell, instead of searching through all the books in my inventory and when they're cluttered, I can easily tell whether or not I have a book and whether or not I need to go that way. I would like to note, this isn't an AFK method. Now, you can try to do it mindless, but the more mindless you are, the more XP, less XP per hour you're going to get. It's really good to focus on XP per hour, focus on the books so that you can remember where the books are. So that way when there's a book that's asked for and you're going along the way, you can look in your inventory. See, I know that I have this Tristera's missing, I know I have these 2 crumpled books missing, and the Killing of a King. That way when I'm going along, I know when I come to those areas, I have to make sure to grab those books. So just another example, I get this greenish looking book, Transvergence, so I know that I have this because I see it. I know I'm going to have to grab this crumpled, but I don't need the one in the corner because I have this. And so I grab this, and instead of going right back, I know it's worth it to go a little bit out of my way for some more XP, and I'm using the books while I run. See, it's easy, just grab this while I'm along the way, and boom. Now, the only books that I'm missing are Tristera's Tragedy, which is in the lower, or the middle center corner, and this book right here, which would be Transportation Incantation. So the last thing to discuss would be making new stamina potions. So you see I'm using up my last dose of stamina potion, and what I suggest is that you really try to get rid of as many books as possible when you have used your last stamina potion. Now, it's not incredibly necessary. You can just drop them when you make stamina potions. That's just something I like to do. I essentially use as many books until eventually they ask for a book that's too far away, and you want to have either a lot of energy or some stamina, some time on your stamina potion left as you go. So this is essentially how I end it. I actually have all 15 books now just because it worked out for me to grab them all, but we'll just assume we have all 15. We'll use up as many as we can until they ask for one that's too far away, and since we're on low run energy, we're just gonna go with it. Okay, I actually got incredibly lucky there. I got to use 9 books, which doesn't really happen when you have 15. Usually, as I found it, you use a few, but it's always nice to have those lucky streaks to happen. And that lucky streak is going to push me up to a lot of XP per hour right now, which is nice. And one thing to note is that the option to use the plugin goes away when you're out of the library. But you'll figure that out. If you can't find the plugin, you have to switch plugins, and then it should get you to your plugin. So you come over here, go to BKR, you come over here, and I don't do a specific amount. I just I like to get to 7 and then keep going. So I have 5, 6, 7. Okay, so if I get 2, then I'm done. If I get 1, then I'm done. And then sometimes if I'm feeling frisky, I'll keep going. Actually, you know what? I am going to keep going. See, that's the problem. When you get 10, that's a lot to have. And then, because you run low on prayer, teleport to your house.
Recharge your prayer. Teleport to the Grand Exchange. Now I have 10, and I have 6 spots, so I gotta drop 1, 2, 3, 4. Move 1 over, so you can drop these. And of course, this part is easier, and you get to save 1 inventory spot if you have the Desert Hard Diary done, which means you can have noted unfinished potions. But of course, I don't have that, and so I have to take up that 1 extra inventory spot. And also, you could use a fire staff instead of fire runes, but it just requires you to switch up. And I like it easier for fire runes. You use 1 an hour, 1 fire rune an hour. So I prepared for 1,000 hours, I guess. Pick all these up. Decantum. You can go try hard and make them while you run, and you can go also try hard and make them with a spacebar. I don't like to make them while I run because it's hard, but I do like to go try hard and hold the spacebar.
You get back to here, CIS, and you're already back running towards the library. So it takes very little time to get this, and it's a really nice boost in XP to have all this. As you see, there are 15 books, and now I only have 14 slots, so I'll have to wait till I drink this. And so I'll usually just get less dark manuscripts during this time, or just keep it in mind and make shorter routes when I'm getting to books instead of make those like big looping routes where I get like as many books as I can on the way. But that's how I make it, and you come back and switch back to this, and you are ready to get more books. I hope you enjoy this guide. If there are any questions, please leave the questions in the comments, or feel free to PM me at any time. My name is Big Rove, and I try to keep my private always on so I can talk to anyone who needs any help. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Enjoy your rune crafting gains. The method should be about 50 to 60 hours depending on when you start it, until 77. I do suggest doing Tears of Gothics first along the way, and I do suggest getting 77 herb lore, but if you don't, it would take maybe 100 hours to get to 77 from level 1 rune crafting. I hope you enjoy playing RuneScape.